What's up, Chargers? We're back with another episode of Wrsn. I hope you're having a great week. I'm Darnell.
And I'm Emily, and in this week's show we will cover the Psych Honor Society meeting last Thursday at lunch, where they discussed the psychology behind theme parks.
We also have an incredibly interesting interview with Betty Jacobson, a woman who helped build planes during World War II. We will delve into what she faced through her job and what it was like in the late 30s and early 40s.
Without further ado, this is... Looking back into the past and seeing what life was like in a different time is a great way to gain perspective. Here we have an interview with a woman who has led a very interesting life. At the age of 97, she has many stories to share, ranging from her moving to California in 1943 following her husband being drafted in World War II, to then working at the Douglas Air Force Base where she worked in the assembly line building aircrafts. Well, without further ado, here is my wonderful great-grandmother Betty Jacobson, and let's see what stories she'll be sharing with us today.
My name is Betty, and sometimes my close people call me Betty Boop.
After the cartoon?
Yeah.
That's cute.
And I am unbelievable, 97 years old, although most time I feel like I'm 16, because that was a good year for me. I met my husband, Sid, when I was 15 years old. And he was really my only boyfriend. And we were married for many, many years until he died about 12 years ago. I was married to Sid when I was 18 years old. And the day after our wedding, he had to go and sign up. His number was up, for the Army. And I was left alone. And I got a job working at Kodak, and I was on the production line. And I worked on radio condensers. And then we found out that he was going to be moved permanently to Santa Ana, California. Well, I had never been away from home, and it was scary to move away. So I took the train, and at that time we didn't fly. So I took the train, and it took me 3 days and 2 nights. And we got there, and we were very poor. We didn't have any money. So he'd bring me back food from the officers' mess at the air base. And I got a job at Douglas Aircraft. And I was working on the A-26, which is an attack plane. And then they must have seen something in me, I don't know what, because I really didn't know anything much. And they sent me to school right there. And I became a production planner. And we were lucky if we had, at that time the ice cream cones were 5 cents. We were lucky if we had an ice cream cone, And then I autographed the B-17, which was this bomber plane. We were really not that far away from Japan, and we would every so often have an air raid, drill, and the bells would ring and everything, and everybody got scared, and we ran off to a shelter. And on top of our buildings, we had like real little trees and bushes and villages, so they wouldn't know that we were making airplanes there.
Now let's take a look at what happened in the psych meeting last week during lunch, where they talked about the behind the scenes and the psychology of theme parks. Let's go to Nick and see what he found out.
Last Thursday, the Psych Honor Society let people into their meetings. In this meeting, the Psych Honor Society taught people about the psychology of attraction parks like Disney World.
So one of the things they do to immerse you into those parks is its use of forced perspective. And forced perspective is an optical illusion technique that makes objects seem that they're farther away or closer or bigger or smaller than they actually are. So Disney does that a lot to save money. So on Main Street, actually, the street narrows as you walk down it, and the buildings also get a little bit shorter. So that makes Main Street seem way longer than it actually is, and it makes the castle seem bigger too.
These theme parks use many different tactics to spend less money and to make you feel more immersed into their world.
So they also do a lot to immerse you into the Disney magic of the park. So if we're talking about Tower of Terror again, on the top left, we have a picture of their wait queue, which really helps you feel like you're immersed into the ride. They have like winding, crooked pathways that purposely narrow out and they look imperfected. There's a lot of cracks in them, and that really just makes you feel uneasy while you're waiting for the ride.
They explain two of their theories that they have. The first theory is the simplicity theory, and the second theory is the idleness aversion theory. They then watch some videos to explain their idleness aversion theory, and then go over status quo bias and how it can affect people.
Status quo bias is basically if someone has grown accustomed to a particular norm and then they experience just a sudden change, they really don't want to like comply with the change and they just want to go back to the way things were.
They then go over some fun facts about the Disney park, and then they play a simple game of Kahoot at the end.
The fact is about hidden Mickeys. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but Mickey Mouse is inserted in a lot of rides. That's about pattern recognition. You know, we recognize the 3 circles as Mickey Mouse.
This has been Nicholas for WRSN.
Gotta love theme parks. That's where to go if you want to have a great birthday. Speaking of birthdays, let's see which Chargers are celebrating their birthday today.
Happy birthday, Chargers. Be sure to wish these students a happy birthday if you see them in the halls. Birthdays are special because the entire day is about celebrating you. Today we have an extremely interesting feature story from Max, an IB senior, who talks about his creations.
Max is an IB senior who from a young age has always loved art. More recently, Max has had an eye for glass creations. A few years ago, Max became more interested in lampworking, and he hopes to one day be able to blow glass as a hobby and make bigger pieces of glass. But for now, he's keeping it simple. When trying new things, not everything is going to work out as you intended to. Mistakes are a part of growing and learning from them to improve.
It's not about the mistakes we make, it's about what we do about them. So next time you mess up, take a second and just try again.
Max enjoys lampworking because he thinks it's fun and expressive.
Picking your colors for any art piece helps decide what the piece is going to look like later on.
Max starts off with preparing his mandel so that glass will slide off of them easily. He then needs to heat up the glass rod so that he can work with it on the mandel. Keeping the glass in the flame is essential when it comes to shaping it. To get a round bead, Max spins the glass in a constant motion. To speed things up, he can roll the glass to get the rounded shape. Once Max has his desired shape, he can add to it or he can put it in the annealer to cool down. At first, Max only had his ideas and visions of what he wanted to do, but with time and effort, he got to where he is now.
Just work at it with whatever you got. With dedication and devotion, you can make anything.
If you try hard enough, you can make the craziest ideas a reality. When Max had his ideas, he never thought he would make them happen, but he devoted his time to make his visions come true. This has been Kayla Weather reporting for WRSN.
That about wraps up today's show. I'm Emily.
And I'm Darnell, and we hope you have a great rest of the week.